While sitting alone in the living room, I overheard my husband on the phone saying, "She has no idea what's coming once the money hits, I'm gone." I pretended not to notice, but now his sudden kindness feels like a trap. So I started digging, and what I found made my blood run cold. Now, I have to act like everything's normal. I sincerely apologize for any errors in the title and text. While I believe my English is quite strong, it's not perfect, so I'm sorry for any confusion. This is going to be a long post, but I'll try to keep it concise. I came across this subreddit through a podcast and hoped I might find some comfort regarding something that has been weighing on me for almost a year. I'm a 36-year-old woman, and my husband is 38. We've been together for a decade and have a 6-year-old daughter who means everything to me. A year ago, I discovered that my husband was having an affair with one of his employees, a 30-year-old woman. I found out through her husband, Jay, 35, who reached out to me. He was devastated and felt I had the right to know. He shared text messages and records of their hotel meetups, and I immediately recognized my husband's writing style as well as the woman involved. I had met her several times when visiting my husband at work. She had always been friendly to me and affectionate toward my daughter. When I asked Jay what he planned to do, he admitted he wasn't sure yet. I suggested that we meet, and he agreed. During our conversation, I told him about my situation. I had lost my job during the pandemic and, with the economy the way it is, hadn't been able to find another. For the past 2 years, I've been focused on studying. If I divorced now, I wouldn't be financially stable enough to provide for my daughter, which could mean my husband would gain primary custody. I asked Jay if he would be willing to wait a few months, ideally longer, before taking action. To my surprise, he agreed. He explained that he wasn't sure what to do either and was glad to have time to figure things out. He also worried that if he confronted his wife, she might cut him out of the lives of her 3 children from a previous relationship, as he was not their biological father. Despite our agreement to wait, Jay and I continued to stay in touch. At first, he would call me a few times a week, and over time, our conversations expanded beyond our broken marriages. Eventually, we started meeting up for walks, coffee, and movies. I soon realized that thinking about him made me smile. He was the first person on my mind in the morning and the last before I fell asleep. Over the past few months, we've barely mentioned our spouses. Instead, we talk about everything else, and he always makes me laugh. He says I'm funny too. 2 weeks ago, while we were having a picnic, he suddenly said, "I think I'm in love with you." When he explained his feelings, it only reinforced what I had already come to realize: I love him too. He admitted that, at first, he thought his feelings were just a result of 2 betrayed people seeking comfort in each other. But as time passed, he realized he no longer felt broken. In fact, he saw his wife's infidelity as a blessing because it led him to me. I felt the exact same way. I didn't know how to respond at that moment. I told him that I was afraid these emotions were just temporary, something that would fade once we were free from those who hurt us. But he simply smiled at me and said he was willing to take the risk to find out. He kissed my hand instead of my lips, because, in his words, we were still married, and if we crossed that line, how would we be any better than our spouses? I don't know what to do now. I find myself constantly daydreaming about him, introducing him to my daughter, kissing him, waking up next to him every morning. I still have 1 semester left before I can start working, and I've already received some job offers for when I finish my studies. I've thanked Jay countless times for his patience and understanding. I truly appreciate that he's willing to wait for me to get my life in order before we finally expose our spouses, who, at this point, aren't seeing each other as often as they used to. He reassured me that he's happy to support me through this, and he only asks for one thing in return: a real kiss once everything is over. Right now, my focus is on securing my job and leaving this marriage. But am I being foolish for wanting to take a chance on Jay and seeing where it leads? Can 2 broken hearts truly find happiness together when their love story started like ours? Update. Hi again. This isn't an update since nothing major has changed in my life, but I've been feeling really down lately. My emotions are all over the place, and I'm hoping that writing this will help me sort them out. I apologize if this post feels chaotic. That's exactly how I feel right now. Confused. Also, fair warning, this will probably be just as long and messy as my last one. I'm still busy with my studies, especially with the holidays approaching. After that, I'll have a break until January 16th, when my final semester begins. I've received 2 job offers. One is an unpaid internship starting in April, which I really like because it would allow me to work remotely most days. The other is a traditional office job with better pay. I have no idea how custody arrangements will play out, but I feel like a job with flexible hours would be the better choice for me. The reason I'm writing now is because I saw Jay yesterday. If you remember from my last post, we agreed not to see each other, or at least not as often, after our "I love you" conversation. We did a decent job sticking to that, only meeting once since then, but we've continued texting and calling every day. Yesterday, Jay asked to meet. When I arrived at the park, our usual spot, he was already there, waiting with flowers, coffee, and cake. He knows I love cake. He told me we were going to have a little celebration. It turns out that yesterday marked exactly 1 year since we first met. He remembered. And yes, I remembered too. It was raining that day as well, but back then, everything felt so much darker. I was broken, desperate, convinced that my world had ended. We talked about how much we've grown, how much stronger we feel now. Then he told me he loved me again, and it took everything in me not to throw caution to the wind and run straight into his arms. He is just so wonderful. But when I got home, reality hit me like a truck. My husband had already picked up our daughter, and they were laughing and playing together. A deep sadness, and pure horror, rose inside me. What am I doing? What are we all doing? The guilt crushed me as I watched my daughter giggling, happily playing with her food. I couldn't take it. As far as Jay and I know, my husband and the other woman haven't texted or met up at all this month. Of course, they still work together, so we can't be sure if the affair has actually died down or if they've just learned to be more careful. But at home, my husband has been different, more attentive, warmer, more present. He constantly tells me he loves me and that he misses me. And yet, I can't stand it. I haven't been intimate with him since I found out about the affair, and even the smallest touch from him makes my skin crawl. Every sweet word or compliment he gives me sets my teeth on edge. All I want to do is scream liar. And at the same time, I feel like a hypocrite. Accepting his affection makes me feel like I'm the one cheating on Jay. The self-loathing that follows is unbearable. I looked at my husband and tried to remember what I loved about him, but I couldn't. All I could see is his texts to her, about how great last time was and what he wanted to do to her next. All the things he once said he wanted to do and did to me that made me feel so special. I tried to think harder about the love, but all I saw was Jay's face. I felt immense rage and hatred towards my husband, but also towards myself and Jay. My husband because he broke us and brought this mess upon us, and myself because I felt that I wasn't trying hard enough with my heart occupied with someone else. Have I just given up so easily because I love Jay? And my daughter? She is the one who's going to pay the hard price of seeing her home break because daddy is a selfish, greedy cheater and mommy isn't trying hard enough to save her marriage when she is pining for another man. I couldn't control my feelings of anger and resentment and guilt, so I wrote Jay a long text telling him all this and more. He tried to call me, but I couldn't answer him. My heart was swollen in my throat. I told my husband that I wanted sleep in my daughter's room tonight, something I've been doing a lot since this all started. I cried all night watching her beautiful face so peaceful and happy. This morning, Jay called me again, and we talked for over an hour. His voice was quieter than usual, and I could hear the fear in it. He told me that he respected my decision to take a break from each other, but he also reminded me of something important, that even when I was at my lowest, I still knew exactly what I wanted. That I made the choice to stay, not out of weakness, but to build a stable future for myself and my daughter. You're too close to your goal to stumble now, he said. Then he told me he loved me. That he had never felt this way before. And that he would wait. After we hung up, I cried for an hour, already missing his voice. I know my marriage is beyond saving. I know leaving is the right thing to do, even though the guilt lingers, simmering beneath the surface and sometimes boiling over, jolting me awake at night. But I need to do this alone now. I don't want to look back and regret anything. The guilt may never fully go away, but at least now, Jay won't be a part of it. He's not in the picture anymore. So, that's where things stand in my life right now. I told you this wasn't really an update, and I'm sorry if it's long and messy. But it's all I have at the moment. Edit. I am not staying in my marriage. I don't know if my English is really that bad or if people just don't bother reading long posts, but I'm honestly shocked by the number of comments attacking me as both a person and a mother for supposedly staying with my cheating husband. Can someone please point out where I ever said I was staying? Yes, I ended things with Jay, but that does not mean I'm going back to my husband. Again, where did I say I was staying with him? Update. Hi everyone. I know, I was pretty dramatic last time and swore I wouldn't update again, but hey, I'm a woman, and I'm allowed to change my mind. Last time, I was completely overwhelmed by all the comments and messages calling me a bad mother, and I just couldn't handle it. I kind of freaked out. But today, I have a small update, though it's not about me, it's about Jay. Jay's mom is sick. She lives in another city, about a 7 to 8 hour drive away. Before leaving to visit her, he texted me, apologizing for reaching out since we weren't supposed to stay in touch, but he wanted me to know he was out of town. The way he wrote made it seem serious, so on Thursday, I drove there too. When I arrived at the hospital around noon, he looked absolutely miserable. His mom is only 58, she's not even that old. Seeing him like that broke my heart. I could only stay for an hour before heading back home, but I felt awful leaving him there alone. His sisters live on the other side of the world and won't be able to fly back until Christmas. Then, on Friday, Jay came home and ended his marriage. I don't know all the details, but he didn't even bring up his wife's affair, he just told her he wasn't happy and didn't want to stay married anymore. He later texted me, thanking me for visiting him and his mom, and told me he had officially filed for divorce. He's moving back to his hometown to be with his mother. He left yesterday but will return once more to collect the rest of his things. Even though I completely understand his decision, and even though we weren't seeing each other anymore, this city suddenly feels so empty and dull without him. Update. Hi again. I'm sorry for deleting my account. I'm still new to all of this, and honestly, I couldn't handle the criticism I was receiving. So, I panicked and deleted it. But I've come to understand that the internet doesn't owe me kindness, people will share their opinions, no matter how harsh, because I chose to put my story out there. I guess that makes it fair game for some to say hurtful things. However, I've learned that I can disable private messages, so if anyone has something negative to say, at least be brave enough to leave it in the comments. That said, I'm hoping for fewer negative reactions this time since most of the outrage seemed to come from the fact that I was taking my time to leave my husband. Thankfully, even though my account was deleted, I managed to recover my original posts with a bit of digging. I've included them here for those who haven't followed my story. As for me, I'm still pushing forward with my studies. I've secured a job starting in April with a decent salary, which will increase by 30% once I graduate 2 months later. I also signed a lease for an apartment just a few blocks from my daughter's school. I can't even describe the joy I felt when I found it, and even more when they accepted my application despite my bad credit, having had no income for over 2 years. My new job contract and a reference were enough, though I do have to pay 3 months rent up front. I'll get the keys on April 1st. I still need to speak to a lawyer, but I'm waiting until it's closer to the time. I don't want to spend money unnecessarily. In the meantime, I found a non-profit organization for women that offers information and advice on marital and divorce issues. While I wouldn't call my marriage abusive, they still have experience with all kinds of situations, so they might be able to help. Since I discovered my husband's affair, our sex life has completely died. At first, he didn't seem to care, probably, or rather, definitely, because he had someone else. But as time went on, over a year now, somehow the longest and shortest year of my life, he began showing me affection again, trying to rekindle intimacy. I avoided him completely. He never pressured me, but I could feel his frustration growing. I suspect his affair ended or lost its excitement, but I'm not an expert on cheating, so who knows? For the past 2 months, he has been trying to bring up our lack of intimacy. I kept telling him I had no sex drive or that I was too busy with my final year of studies. My excuses didn't make him happy, but they were enough to keep him at bay, until about a week ago, when he insisted on having a serious discussion. Again, I told him I was busy and that my libido was low, which is true. That's when he said something that made my entire body tense up. He told me that in a marriage, when one partner neglects the other, it's natural to start looking elsewhere. That was it. That was my breaking point. I told him that wasn't true, because he started sleeping with her name long before I ever neglected him. The shock on his face was priceless. First, he tried to act confused, as if he misheard me. Then he denied it. Then he made excuses. Then came the apologies. Then the questions. How did I find out? What was I planning to do? When I told him about my new job and apartment, reality seemed to hit him. He started pleading, trying to hold on to me. This past week, he's tried to talk to me every day, and I've remained calm. He had so many questions. Why hadn't I told him sooner? At least then he could have explained. He insisted that she meant nothing, that the relationship was over, that there were no feelings involved, it was just physical. He told me he only ever loved me, that he regretted everything, which is why he ended it. He asked me to think about our daughter. And then, he wanted to know, why wasn't I more upset? I told him the truth. I had already mourned our relationship for a year, and I had moved on. He said it wasn't fair. To him, this was all new. I told him about my job, my new place, and asked him to be patient with me. I told him that, whatever happens next, he needs to put our daughter first. That only made him angrier. He said that if I truly cared about her, I would have confronted him back then. I should have been honest so we could have tried to fix things with therapy and effort. He insisted that he never loved anyone the way he loves me and that he would have given up everything to make things right. Instead, he accused me of secrecy, of plotting and planning my life without him while pretending things were fine. Was I? I broke down crying. I begged him not to let his anger affect our daughter. I told him that everything I did was for her. I didn't want her to see us fighting, and I didn't want to leave without making sure I could provide her with a stable life. Now, he's constantly angry with me. He barely looks in my direction. But at least he's still sweet with our daughter, and that gives me some comfort. Most nights, I sleep in her room. I never expected things to blow up this soon. But no matter how much you plan and prepare for the perfect exit, life is unpredictable. And honestly, I don't regret my outburst. Maybe it was time. For now, I'll keep reminding him of the importance of staying civil. I know he feels hurt and betrayed, and I understand that, but I need him to put his emotions aside for our daughter's sake, just like I did. And just like I did, in time, he will move on. Sorry for the long post, and for any grammar mistakes. Edit: Jay is currently going through a divorce as well. He has moved back to his hometown to be with his mother, who is seriously ill. His sisters, who live in Australia, have also returned home, which brings some comfort knowing that he and his mother aren't alone. Since hearing the news, I've visited them 3 times, but because of the distance, I haven't been able to stay long. However, we talk on the phone every morning. He is absolutely devastated. Edit 2: No, I haven't told my husband about Jay, and I don't plan to. If Jay and I ever end up together, then everyone, including my husband, will know. But we have always agreed that we would never reveal how we met. That was a decision we made long ago when we used to dream about our future together. It's better for everyone involved, and I intend to keep that promise. It's nobody's business but ours. As for the future, we don't know what lies ahead. Jay lives 8 hours away, and we haven't talked about us in a long time. Right now, our lives are filled with separate challenges. All that matters to me is that his mother gets better, or at the very least, that she doesn't suffer. Update. Hi everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I was here about a year ago sharing my story. 2 years ago, I discovered that my husband was having an affair with one of his employees, who was also married at the time. A year ago, I posted about it here, but later deleted my posts. However, I recently found them compiled in a single post when I searched my name online. For those unfamiliar with my story, I'll include it in my bio. Also, a quick disclaimer: English isn't my first language, and this post will be long and emotional, so I apologize in advance. This past year has been the hardest of my life, though not everything has been negative. I'm grateful to have a great job with a wonderful company and supportive coworkers. I've also moved into my own apartment. But unfortunately, that's where the good news ends. No matter how long you've known someone, how much you've loved and trusted them, or how much you believe they valued you, you never truly see their true colors until you hit rock bottom with them. My ex-husband, though legally, we are still married since he refuses to sign the divorce papers, has shown me nothing but cruelty and vindictiveness. At times, he has even taken it out on our daughter, making me question whether I made the right decision in leaving. I thought I was doing this for her, to give her a dignified life and a strong role model in me. I wanted her to have a happy, content mother who could be her hero, yet she has been the one to suffer the most during all of this. When I first told my husband I was leaving, he was in denial, which was difficult enough. But when he realized I was serious, things took a much darker turn. He did everything he could to break me and stop me from leaving. He started with threats of taking full custody of our daughter, then stripped me of my financial assets. He managed to obtain primary custody and blocked me from seeing her while the court assessed my fitness as a parent. He filed a motion claiming I was financially unstable and suffered from mental illness. I've been diagnosed with depression and PTSD, but I am receiving treatment. Because of legal bureaucracy, I was unable to see my daughter for 8 weeks. I thought I was losing my mind during that time, even considering getting back together with him just to be with her again. When I was finally granted shared custody and saw my daughter again, she was angry and distant. She told me she hated me and wanted to be with her dad. It broke me, but I knew he had been poisoning her against me. Even after spending time together, she still struggled to reconnect with me, especially on the first day back from his house. By the end of the week, she would warm up again, and I'd see glimpses of her happy, loving self, only for the cycle to start over when she returned to him. He tried everything not to divide our assets according to the prenup, but that wasn't any priority of mine. Even if I had to start from scratch, I was willing to give him anything not to make him angrier with me that he takes it out on our baby. Once he came with a suggestion that I left him everything and gave away all my rights, and he gave me full custody. I thought something finally heard my prayers before he changed his mind and filed new motion suing for full custody. He was playing with me. During this whole ordeal I was feeling doubts and resentment towards myself for not just complying and obeying him and stay with him until our daughter is older. The self-doubt and fear were almost paralyzing, and one day in the beginning of summer I wrote a very long letter to him reminding him of his love for his daughter and the promise he made to her when she was born to do anything to protect her. I reminded him that I am just a woman and he can, and had, replace me anytime, but that his daughter is his daughter. I begged him not to use her to hurt someone who is replaceable. Don't use a valuable treasure as a weapon to destroy a cheap target. A target you easily replaced once before. He didn't answer me, but he stopped texting and calling me in other purposes other than our daughter. She has been happier too, and she says she loves me and she loves Daddy. I don't know if it was my letter, but he just stopped all his attempts to hurt me. Once when he dropped her off, he apologized for everything he did back to cheating on me in the first place and said that he loved us and promised not to hurt us anymore. He has since kept this promise. Since January, while I was still living with him, my ex-husband has been in an on-again, off-again relationship with a 25-year-old woman. Whenever they're together, I get to see my daughter more often, even during his weeks. I never thought I'd find myself hoping for them to reconcile, but it means my daughter spends more time in a stable home with me. I don't know what the future holds, and I can only hope that one day my daughter forgives us for everything she's been through. There are moments when I regret asking for a divorce while she's still so young. Maybe I should have waited until she was old enough to understand. But at the same time, there are days when I feel like I made the right decision. The truth is, I may never know for sure. As for John, he still lives in his hometown, staying close to his mother, whose condition has worsened. No chemotherapy or medical procedure is working anymore. I've visited them as much as I can, and despite everything he's going through, he has been an incredible source of support for me. I've often felt guilty leaning on him when he's facing something so painful, but he insists he wants to listen and be there for me. We talk and text every day. Last month, while my husband took our daughter on a family trip, John unexpectedly showed up at my door. He told me he just wanted to see me and had booked a hotel room, but he never used it. He ended up spending the weekend with me at my apartment, and for the first time, I allowed myself to be with him. He was everything I had imagined and more. When he told me he loved me, it took everything in me not to break down in tears. I never knew it was possible to love someone this much. John's divorce is finalized, but we've agreed to keep our relationship private until my life is more settled. We've already waited 2 years, what's a few more months? I'm so much happier now, and for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful about the future. Not just for myself, but for everyone. I truly hope that, in time, we can all move forward and find happiness. Comments. User 1. You are an incredible role model for your daughter. You refused to compromise your self-worth and used reason and strength to counter your ex's attempts to manipulate her. Wishing you all the happiness in the world, OP. Boop. I don't really feel like a role model right now. I hope that changes soon. User 2. I'm not sure where you're located, but in the US, what your soon-to-be ex is doing, poisoning your daughter's mind, could legally backfire on him. It's considered parental alienation. Sending you the biggest hug, and I want you to know I'm proud of you. Your daughter might not understand now, but one day she will. Boop. Believe me, I've tried to go that route. Unfortunately, there's very little I can prove in court, including this. We're not in the US. User 3. Did he actually take all of your assets, or were you able to keep anything? It's completely unfair for him to leave you and your daughter with nothing. You should fight for what you're owed. Boop. He still has everything, and the lawyers are working on it. Honestly, I don't want anything if it means keeping him from turning hostile. User 3. No, you deserve to fight for what's rightfully yours. He's the one who messed up, he should be held accountable. Boop. We'll see. He owns multiple properties and runs his own business. We had a prenup, but I didn't even get what was agreed upon. These things take time, I suppose. Either way, it's all going to my daughter in the end. Right now, I have my apartment and a stable job, and that's more than enough for me.